Welcome to Caravan Podcast. Caravan Week offers a series of daily podcasts from the 3rd to the 7th of November with youth and social circus leaders from Serbia, Palestine, Lebanon and Russia. How do youth and social circus organisations use circus as a tool for resilience in the face of these global challenges? That's what we're here to discover. Thanks for tuning in and we hope you enjoy.
Hi, and welcome to the last podcast of Caravan Week 2025. In today's episode, we're joined by David Mason, founder and pedagogical director of the Mobile Mini Circus for Children, MMCC. MMCC is a non-profit humanitarian organization that inspires children and youth in difficult conditions to discover their potential and take the lead in creating lasting, cheerful societies. MMCC has brought social circus, education, and creative learning to more than 4 million children across Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Ethiopia. Their social circus pedagogy, co-created with children in war and conflict zones, combines psychosocial support, education, and community healing. Welcome, David, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you for the opportunity.
So, David, to start us off, could you briefly introduce yourself and share what led you to found the Mobile Mini Circus for Children back in 2002?
My name is David, and I was born in Iran, and because of that, I knew the region, the culture, Afghanistan, the neighbor country. When in 2001, things radically changed for Afghanistan with the new government after the Taliban fall was established. And for the first time, there was a possibility of coming to Afghanistan and make a radical change for the children. I decided to do that. I knew that it had to be for children, about the children, and with the children. And I didn't know exactly what, and I had no social circus, not even circus, nothing experience of such kind, but I knew it had to be for children. So I tried all the right ways of approaching UNICEF, Save the Children, War Child, and explaining to them that I know a lot, I can do a lot. It was difficult for me to explain to them what the children need, and it was more difficult for them to understand what the children need at that time, because everybody's focus was on security and shelter and food and education as going to school, basically. But the main need of the children at that time was being hopeful, being joyful, learn how to laugh, how to be enjoying their collectivity, their bodies. They had to update and upgrade their identity. Now they could laugh, but at what and how to enjoy, how to be creative and physically and socially cultivative. So then I had to just go to Afghanistan and do it on my own. And at the beginning, everything became circus. Everything we touched became circus, from the name of the organization to the activities, because the only thing that could bring so many children together with laugh and fun and hope and joy, no matter how you calculate it, it would end up being circus. So we made this Mobile Mini Circus for Children in Afghanistan, and I basically moved there right away, lived there, stayed there, and then later Berit, my partner, joined, and we together experimented with as many things as we could, and no circus or social circus background. We just kept doing stuff that were all circus. It was bombastic, fantastic, big, huge, so full of fun. And it couldn't be anything else than circus. And that's what exactly they needed. Of course, we had to convince the parents, the authorities, the donors, everybody that it is not bad. All the children are so having so much of fun and joyful. And we had to incorporate educational entertainment in the activities, like showing, talking, and illustrating problems like hygiene, hand wash, landmine awareness, on malaria, and different themes. But still what it was social circus without we even knowing that there is such a thing called social circus. So we used to call it educational entertainment. And we started with calling it educational at the beginning of the word to make the academical, intellectual authorities, everybody, parents even, relax. This is education. This is not bad. All the children love it, but it is education of different kind. It took us 2-3 years or 2.5 years when for the first time we had some visitors from France. And when they visited us after their performance, they said, so you are doing social circus too in Afghanistan? And we said, what? Yeah, social circus. What do you mean by social circus? Well, this is social circus you're doing. No, this is educational entertainment. They explained to us, no, you're welcome to call it whatever you want to call it. It is social circus. It has a name. It is everywhere in the world or many places in the world. That's what they do. That is what it is called. So this is the story of how MMCC started in Afghanistan.
So you didn't have any contact with the circus or social circus before 2001?
No.
And which activities did you start with? Since you said that whatever you could be doing with the children, it will become circus. So what were the first activities that you found to bring joy and entertainment to these children?
The very first activities was having the stage, having the possibility of collecting children. And as we did, and still we are doing in many places, starting with telling jokes so children would entertain each other. And then the juggling, I could still can juggle with 3 balls. So I was teaching to our Afghan colleagues how to juggle, and that was make our own balls. And that was a main part of the circus. And then stills. We made our own stills, and the stills we made, they were not good to walk on, to be high and just walk on the stills, and they had costumes. And then human pyramid. We used our own imagination and intuition. We used our own imagination and intuition to build up the equipment and practice to learn them. We got a box of present juggling clubs, and we didn't know how to use them. And because of that, we had lots of blue marks all around our bodies because of hitting the clubs, because we didn't know how to use them. So we learned this all by imagining, by listening, looking at the children, see what they like, and being creative and intuitive as well, especially when it comes to the pedagogy. We have been very intuitive, and we had the best laboratory in Afghanistan for so many years. We had all the children, we had all the permissions from the ministries, and we basically learned from the children what to do, how to do, and be useful for the children.
This is something you specify in that your pedagogy is co-created with the children.
Yes, historically it started by we not knowing how to do these activities. So then we asked the children, what do you think? What do you think we should? I know 3-ball juggling. How do you think we should juggle with 4 balls? So we didn't have the capacity. Basically, lack of the capacity made us to go back to the children and to the source. So they learn it by themselves. And since we didn't learn it, we asked them, okay, can you teach to the others? And then they started to teach to the others. So what happened here is that not only the 3-ball juggling or whatever art that they created, we realized a few very important things. One is if you get the instruction, you don't own the skills you obtain because you are instructed what to do. Contra, if you discover how the 4-ball juggling happens, how the pyramid made, then you really own it because you discovered it, you did it. And that ownership is extremely important. The second thing we learn is that if the adult, especially Westerner adults, teach the children, it is difficult for both the children to learn from them and for the adult to teach them. But when the children teach children, something different happens. One is the team building, and the other is that the synergy among them, it brings many more dimension into what it is learned. Then we realize that, hey, there are actually many more elements here than doing a perfect flip-flap or juggling. Or there are lots of other elements here that we need to nurture, give it a space and cultivate. And then we realize that things like making human pyramid, to put, for example, boys on top of each other, 4 and then 3 on top of the 4 and then 2 and 1. Once they do it, they start to have a mega physical communication, body to body, by tolerating each other and being nice to each other. And, there are hundreds of muscles in every single body that is coordinated with the one on top of them and the one they are standing on. And here there are plenty of intuitive and inner healer, inner masters in every single body that must be result of millions of years of development and evolvement. So these become the real teachers instead of single adult teachers who are instructed and have the cognitive understanding of what is exactly the human pyramid should be done. We give it to the children themselves. And of course, we make sure that the measures of safety and security is on place, but the rest of it is done by children, and we become facilitator instead of instructor. And this is basically the key word for most of the things we do. We facilitate the possibility of them finding each other, discovering their skills, practicing, instructing each other, making the shows, going to the communities, making the show for the others. Roles that were pushed in that direction because of the lack of resources is actually the best role one can have, to be facilitator, not instructors, because we are not going to be there forever and telling them what to do. And that's not the point. The point is that we facilitate, giving them the possibility, the location, the place, the permission, the papers, whatever that children cannot or the local cannot get by themselves. We just show them, facilitate, and let them to co-create. I would say even fully create everything, and we become more supporting them and facilitating the creations.
This notion of horizontality is very important here, because it's also what makes the difference between circus and social circus, and what makes the difference, as you said, between instructing and facilitating. Today, we talk more about learner-centered learning. Co-create, ask the learner what they need, what they want, and then offer what is it that they need. But 20 years ago, when you started, that must have been absolutely quite new. So in my understanding, this all came from a place of almost instinct from you, intuition. You adapted to the lack of resources, made it a chance, an opportunity. And then how did you know instinctively what to do? Because you were also the first one to come and to say, okay, other people are taking care of physical needs. Psychosocial needs have to be supported in a way, but in a fun way, especially for the children. How could you put yourself in this posture? What is it about you that made you think that way and be the only one to think that way? Because it's very specific.
I like the way you ask it, or you start with saying how instinctively you know. Well, there's a contradiction here. Knowing is not instinctive. Knowing is cognitive. So I would say I answered that question by telling you that I didn't know. I was just instinctively doing it. And the knowledge comes later. And gradually during these years, many of those instinctive actions became understood, the reason behind it. First by the result it created, but also gradually we found out what it does and how it really works. And then I started to know it. Still, there are many things that we don't know why we do, but we instinctively we know that it is correct to do, and we just keep doing it, and we are getting good results. So let's say juggling, we could see that the focus on 3-ball juggling for any child, it changes the posture in the body, the way they are standing, the way they are calm, they are focused, and the breathing is changed. Like they are more calm. It's like they go to a kind of meditation state. Then it is good for them. So they instinctively know it is good. They do it. It gives a good result. They become calm. And then later we think about how on earth 3-ball juggling can do that. And of course it does, because once your entire mind is focused on keeping these balls on the air, then you wouldn't have more time to think about your miseries, your problems, your traumas, your childhood, or all of those things. You're focused and you basically get out of your cognitive domain and you go to in your own instinctive resources, and that the inner healer would help you to have the right posture, stand properly with proper grounding. I knew parts of this from earlier dances. I used to both dance and teach dances, salsa and Argentina tango. And I knew, and I practiced Tai Chi as well. So I knew some of these, that how important it is to make the space for the individual to grow up, to have the possibility to facilitate the possibilities of them and their instinct, their feelings, their inner healer taking over, instead of we from outside keep telling them what is right, what is wrong.
That's fascinating. Thank you so much, David. What I would like to put forward here is the importance of the contact with the body and to be in the body in order to leave your mind. And then, as you said, to forget for a while, forget about the trauma, forget about the misery, and forget about the difficulties of your life. Do you think that the practice and the repetition of going into that state can have on the long term real healing effect? Or I mean, by real, I mean long-standing healing effect?
Yes, of course it is. It's a matter of unlearning the bad lesson that you have learned, and learning the lesson that is good. Very often, hope is one of them. Hope is one of the best lesson that traumatized children have lost it, because if all of us we came to this world with lots of hope, but for some of us, because of the difficulties and trying to build up, and then like a house of cards, we all try to play to build up, and then if there is problematic situations, from bombs to abuse and misuse in the families to social problem, whatever, it ruins it for us, and then we have to start to build up from scratch again, right? So the lesson that unfortunately many people anywhere in the world, especially children, learn is that stop. It doesn't help. You build up your house of cards. Again, the next problem, next abuser, next day, next, getting beaten, whatever is going to spoil it for you. So stop building up. So that's the bad lesson many children, many adults even learn. And the good lesson is that by motivating children to even do a 3-ball juggling, of course it falls down. Of course you lose the balls. Of course it is difficult. But if you learn that in 1 hour time, you become a little bit better. And in a couple of days, you can actually do it. And in 3 days, 4 days, then you start becoming better and better. So the lesson you learn here is that there is hope. You invest, you get resolved, especially if it is in your own hand. You cannot choose what the government, the bombs from the sky, you have no control over them. But there are things that you have control. So let's identify them. These 3 balls and 2 hands are some of them. Then your legs and making pyramid or doing acrobatic, these some others. So we start to identifying the things that are on place, not the things that are not on place and out of the control, but things that work. And then we teach the children how these things work and how much joy they can bring. And the lesson they get is not how to juggle 3 balls. The lesson is how to hope, how to identify things that work. So that wisdom, that lesson they learn by juggling, that is brought to other dimensions of their lives. So there are many other things with that in their head that you keep working on it. It gives results because not everything is hopeless. There are something hopeful because each one of them that I found the hope in it has a certain way that works. For example, in your acrobatic or juggling, each single one of them, there is a corner somewhere, a correct way of doing it. And all you need to do is just finding that recipe, that magic. And if there is a magic in 3-ball juggling, if there is a way and you can do it, why not in all the other aspects of the life and solving all the other problems? So this stays. We accumulate this focus on the good thing that bring hope and learning the idea, the wisdom that is a way. We need to find a way. You believe in that is having the hope, and then you bring it to the other aspect of your life to see where else you can imply it.
That's very inspiring and very beautiful. And not only inspiring and beautiful, because MMCC and you have been impacting many, many children throughout the years since 2002. And the number that I have found online is up to 4 million children that your work has impacted from across Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Ethiopia. Now that we have covered the magic and the philosophy behind MMCC, perhaps we could dive into the concrete daily life of your missions and give a bit of a broad picture to our audience of what you're doing and how you're helping the children.
Since the beginning, we have been transformed quite a few times, and now we have become a network of supporting and incubating many more social circus teams around the world. Now in Afghanistan and in Bangladesh and also Ethiopia, but hopefully we bring it to many more. Right now we have 37 teams in Afghanistan, in which 20 are led by young men, boys, and 17 of them by girls, by
In
young
Afghanistan
women. That is in Afghanistan. This is
at the moment.
this is an achievement. These teams are kind of doing exactly what we used to, meaning that they have children, have weekly exercises, practice. They have each 30 to 35, 40, some even more children, and then they perform in different events, and they have their own identity. They have each single one of these 37 in Afghanistan have their own identity. They have their own logos. They have their own names. They have their own social media platform. They're similar to these 37 in Afghanistan. We have 5 in Bangladesh. 3 of them are inside the Rohingya refugee camp, and 2 of them are in the host communities. And we have smaller groups in Ethiopia as well. So we kind of replicated ourselves in smaller doses, smaller versions, and we keep doing this because this way we can reach many more children and many more nations, many more countries.
Is that a vision that you have for the future, to expand and to reach even more countries?
Yeah. And as you can hear, it wouldn't be us doing everything everywhere. It would be us supporting, facilitating, again, these individual and teams and groups to do the work. And we just bringing them the possibility, the pedagogy, the system, and know-how of how to do a social circus with our pedagogy and principles.
Thank you, David. So to circle back to this year's Caravan Week theme, how do youth and social circus organizations use circus as a tool of resilience in the face of global challenges?
Afghanistan alone and the children of Afghanistan alone, they can best illustrate what resilience means with so many restrictions, especially girls, so many restrictions, still doing social circus in the level they do, and not only changing the entire narrative of their stories, but also bring so much of pleasure to the others. It says a lot about what resilience means and how social circus is contributing to this resilience of the children. We need volunteers to help us in different ways. We have had some volunteers, many volunteers in Afghanistan, and right now we have volunteers in Bangladesh as well. It is good to have a network of volunteers that helping us in different ways, online, offline, on the field, and in different ways. Being connected with us is very useful because we are not doing the actual work directly on the field for the children. We are managing, organizing, and facilitating the activities for the others to be happening, and connecting the resources from financial resources to technical resources and promotional resources. These all together are very important. So having them available, having them connected to us is most useful.
When someone is interested to help out, how should they get in touch with you?
Or webpage or social media, and it is all MMCC Global. The handle is MMCC Global.
Is there any other way that the Caravan Network could help you achieve your vision, or help with your organizational sustainability, or advocate for your work in any way?
Caravan is already doing a very good job. I thank you for that. And I would say keep doing this, connecting us and letting us be exposed to many more audience of different kind, from donors to volunteers, individuals and groups.
You have a membership program.
Yes, we have a membership program. The membership is only €15 per year, 15. So it is like 2 cups of coffees, right? It is not really that much. However, it helps us with getting access to some of the Danish governmental grants. So it means that if we have the minimum number of 300 members, and member means one person paying €15 for 1 year. Then we would have lots of money to spend on, let's say, Bangladesh, for example, or in Afghanistan. If we don't have that number of members, then we wouldn't have access to those kind of funds. Although the 15 euro seems to be very little, but it has a very big effect. The link I share with you, click on that link and give the 15 euro. It is going to have a big good effect on many more children.
Thank you, David. I'm going to do that myself, first of all, because the work you're doing is very inspiring, and I personally can't help but think about the young girls, especially in Afghanistan, under the Taliban, and thinking that there is a space where they can get together, get out of the house is really unique, and in itself is already some sort of superhero move. Who does that? Who managed to do that? Who else? Didn't come across any other initiative, any other effort to create space for young girls in Afghanistan at the moment. You're the only one. This is very impressive, and you do it with seem to be doing it with such full heart, conscious of what's at stake, also at the same time so playful and instinctive and intuitive. This is such an inspiration, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adrian. There are so many amazing resources in social circus which are not discovered yet, and it has been underestimated what social circus can do. We can see that where all the other pedagogies fail in places like in Afghanistan and Rohingya camps, social circus make a very big, very amazing difference and bring so much of hope. And I thank Caravan and everybody who has discovered somehow that social circus is the way to wakening up the inner healer of the children and facilitating the possibilities for those children can bring so much of joy and healing for them. I invite you to join us, be connected, and let us be more inspired from you. And hopefully we can give something back to you by connecting you and being more a network and helping each other to do this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you for your presence generally and today, and for your honesty and your efforts in being in this talk and all the things that you're doing. Thank you very much. And thank you, David.
My pleasure.